Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup on Free FM 89.0. This is Grady Hooker, and as always, live on Skype, we got Josh.
Yep.
Now, there's a whole lot of other stuff on Raw that I would like to talk to and get to, but we've got to start off with the big news this week. We got Goldberg coming out on Raw. His normal entrance from the backstage, walking through, and then delivering a pretty heartfelt promo.
I've heard people really like the promo, surprisingly.
Hmm.
And yeah, they got the bump they were looking for with Goldberg.
Yeah.
And the ratings went up to 3.1 million.
It'd be a question whether they can sustain that afterwards. Obviously, the people who tuned in just for Goldberg might not stick around. They might stick around to see what Brock Lesnar says next week. But I don't know if this is going to be a continued rating boost like I assume they want. In terms of his just essentially the clip of his return, I've already watched it, I think 5 times myself already. Just that intro and then straight into the promo. My only note here on my piece of paper is effing awesome. I was always a big Goldberg fan when I was younger. We're going to ignore the fact that he's about to have a match with Brock Lesnar and just stick to the fact that he is appearing. Otherwise, I will get a little sad inside. But I really like how they pulled this off, cinematography-wise. But yeah, we're gonna have to still see how they're gonna pull it off with Lesnar. I'm gonna imagine they'll be going back and forth for a little while. You know, Goldberg's on this show, Brock's on the next show. Leading up to their Clash Survivor Series. How far away are we on that? Six weeks? It'll be closer than that because Hell in a Cell's coming up as well. But yeah, it's interesting to see Goldberg and just see how physical he can still get, which I'm hoping we're going to see in the weeks building up, just to give him a little bit of that physicality boost for the people who might not know him or might not remember him.
I think we're about 4 weeks out.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it all adds up. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. At the moment, in terms of purely just that 10 or 20 minutes, I liked it. Just keep doing that over and over and over. We'll move on to something that didn't go too well. At the moment, Dana Brooke is seemingly in a feud with Bayley. So they had a match on Raw. The end of the match, Dana Brooke wins. But Dana Brooke is meant to win by putting her feet on the rope and getting the dirty pin. Dana's legs were too short. She was unable to put them on the ropes. Bayley stays down for the 3. Dana Brooke wins cleanly. Slightly problematic.
And then they did an injury angle to protect Bayley.
Yeah. You really got to think on the spot there. And I don't know. It's just one of those cases where it doesn't go right. 5 centimeters to the left and we would have been a little better. But it's not the best of things to semi-high profile match, botch the ending of it, or have it not go the way it was intended, or at least the way it appeared that it was intended. I'm not saying I 100% know the way it was meant to go. It just looked as though that was essentially the way it was meant to go. Sticking with the women's division on Raw here, we're still getting Emelina. Despite appearances on the SmackDown live event circuit as her regular self, we're still getting these vignettes of a model, essentially an Instagram model, coming up on Raw. Still not a fan. Still not a fan. It'll be... I almost want to just still see them drop it. I think we're starting to get into that territory now where it's been too long and we can't necessarily drop it now just because we've had so many airings and so much hype to it. But, I don't know. I'm still not a fan of the gimmick as a whole, and also not a fan of the fact that Emma isn't just being herself, which was just starting to get on a roll pre her injury. But with tag teams, Sheamus and Cesaro, so they've got their tag team title shot coming up at Hell in a Cell. And at the moment, they seem to just be irritating each other.
Yeah. Last week, Sheamus Facebook Lived during Cesaro's match. So Cesaro's decided, you know what, I'm going to do that this week.
Yep. It was hilarious for me because I was unable to watch Raw live. But this thing popped up and it just said, Cesaro's live on Facebook. So I was watching it purely through the Facebook Live feed. I wasn't watching it through anything else. It was a weird, window in. I got in the start where essentially they're just bickering in the ring about how this is Sheamus' match and he should get out of the ring and everything. But I guess it's just one of those things that we're going to do now. We got, I think, one more week to build for Hell in a Cell, so it'll be interesting to see if they can pick up their game and mesh as a team rather than irritate each other. Or are we going to see the exact same bickering team that we've seen for all the time at this point?
Probably. I don't know if we'll see them win the titles or not. Probably not. And I have no idea what happens with the storyline after, if they fail at winning the titles.
I think looking at this match on paper, you got to go 10-90, maybe 20-80 on their odds of winning. They're not the highest, especially as though it seems the New Day are going for Demolition's record, so we're going to be moving on with that. And we've already got Slater and Rhino with the SmackDown tag titles. You could... Because this is essentially the payoff at the moment for that best of 7 series that we had. So for the payoff to not pay off, something's got to happen. Whether it's just one final match between the two, or they'll probably... The fact that Survivor Series is so soon after it, they'll probably just be shoved into the Survivor Series 5-on-5 Raw vs. SmackDown. I say shoved in.
Ow.
Lovingly placed. But at least that's a little bit of news there, that they have accepted those 3 Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series matches. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of having all 3. Nor do I exactly know how the tag team one's going to work. Whether it is going to be 5-on-5, 4-on-4, or 6-on-6. And whether you could counting Cesaro and Sheamus in that one, if you place them in there. They're technically a tag team, and they'd also be 2 great talents for Raw to be able to say is in our tag team Survivor Series match.
What I'm going to guess what the tag team will be, it will be 10-on-10, but if one person of the tag team is eliminated, both members are eliminated.
Do we even have enough tag teams for that? There's an insane amount of people just in these Survivor Series matches, because if it's 10-on-10, then we've still got the males superstars going on, and that's another 10 there, so that's 30 superstars tied up in that title match on each. I imagine the roster's not as thin as it is in my head right now, but that might be a little tight. But it definitely would be an interesting concept. Have they done anything like this before that sort of set this precedent, or is this just one of those crazy concepts? And then you've also got the question of what they technically class as a tag team. You know, Cesaro and Sheamus, of course, were put together, but you could still class them as a tag team for this. I think Raw would be the one, if anything, that's lacking teams. It would also force people like the New Day to team up with the club, I think, to make their numbers. So you've got your interesting storylines there that you can generate, but I don't know. Might be spreading our butter a little thin. So Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, team best friends. Everybody's happy-go-lucky. And now we're starting to see our fractions. Now we're starting to lead into that. After Seth Rollins, maybe it's Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho's turn. Which I'm not personally against. I think they'd put on a great main event of a pay-per-view. It does almost hint that Seth Rollins is going to move back into his Triple H feud for a little while if they are building this one to take the main event scene, just because I don't see Seth going anywhere other than title scene and Triple H at the moment. I don't see him dropping down to mid, and I don't see him having any upper mid-card feud at the moment either. That's something he could do. He could take on Bo Dallas, since he's continuing on with his change in attitude now. Curtis Axel tried to get him back, tried to get him a little bit hyped for his match. Bo Dallas ends up beating Neville and attacking Curtis Axel afterwards, so that's their feud. It seems as though Dallas Axel, with Axel heading in as the babyface.
I don't know. The biggest thing is that Bo Dallas finally got a new ring gear.
Well,
he no longer has the Social Outcast singlet.
Yeah. This is essentially the last straws of the Social Outcasts being demolished. We saw Adam Rose fade away. We saw Heath Slater go to a different brand. These were the last two, and now these two are done. We'll probably just get one match or so. It seems as though they're still trying to build Bo. What for? We don't entirely know, whether he'll just sort of rest in the mid-card. But he did pick up a win over Neville, which is nothing... Like, we shouldn't shy away from that as a thing. So, we'll go into the song. It's Hell in a Cell 2016's Breaking Out of Hell. And then when we come back, we'll talk about SmackDown. We've got Spirit Squad, Kurt Hawkins, James Ellsworth. Big win for him. And a couple of other bits of news as well. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup on Free FM 89.0, Grady and Josh. So, Kurt Hawkins still hasn't debuted. Still. No, don't get bored.
Not only did he steal Eva Marie's entrance, but now he's stolen her gimmick of not wrestling.
No, that's not happening. He's pure himself. 100% original. And it's all Apollo Crews' fault anyway. Shouldn't have taken the cheap shot. At this point, though, it does appear, at least with the crowd, that it's having the negative effect. It's almost like they don't care if he debuts anymore. Where at least with Eva Marie, the nuclear heat was there that they really wanted her to debut. I don't think they're getting that same reaction with Kurt. And they might as well just start hiffing him in at this point. It seems as though they're almost trying to build him into something that he's never going to be. Because as much as I like the guy, everything he did in the WWE beforehand, and now he's never going to be that big of a star at the moment. There's definitely a very low ceiling on him, so giving him all of this hype, I don't see necessarily why it's that important. And then we've got the Spirit Squad. They're sticking around, so we've got a couple more people to lose. And at least for the time being, they're sticking with The Miz. Possibly just for his feud through with Ziggler.
We'll have to see if they stick around for any length of time beyond just dealing with Ziggler. But
as far as I know, they're still not listed on the website as WWE superstars. It may have changed in the past few days. I haven't checked in a while. But maybe they'll stick around for the Survivor Series tag team match if it is in fact requiring 5 teams. Might just free up another one for SmackDown to do something else. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're here. They seem to be still putting on decent matches. They have a storyline reason to be there. They weren't just sort of brought back and thrown in. And I'm not always disappointed by them. But something that I am disappointed about is that we had a WWE.com/YouTube bit where last week we saw Tyler Breeze looking for Fandango, and then this week he found him. Tyler Breeze graduated Police Academy in the middle of it. I'm not going to question that. And then they walk off with Fandango saying, "Keep the cops off. Keep the cop's outfit on. I've got something for you." And then no payoff at all, on the show at least. So I don't know what we're doing with these two. It seemed as though with the one of them being missing, there might have been something there in terms of breaking up and going their separate ways, but now I don't know what they're doing. I'm just hoping that we're not going to transition into a stripper gimmick for Tyler Breeze. That's my one request.
yeah, they're going to give him the Magic Mike gimmick that they were going to give Hawkins and Tyler Rex before Tyler Rex decided to retire.
Honestly, it at least fits those two a lot better than it would have fit Hawkins and Rex, I think. But I'm still not a fan. Please don't do it. I like Breezango. I think they're quite a good team. They mesh together. They have everything to work together as a team. Just let them be a team.
I'll be fine as long as Breeze on, as long as one of them isn't also like a construction worker or an Indian.
That's what I expected, honestly. When I saw the cop's outfit and he said, "Let's go over here," I fully expected a construction worker Fandango to come out. It was, please no. Just please no. James Ellsworth defeated AJ Styles a second time.
Yeah,
No title, though.
no title because of DQ, but James Ellsworth is definitely over the most people in the company right now. He now has his own shirt, his own theme, his own Titantron.
He's essentially hired at this point.
Yeah, you gotta think he's got a contract.
The merch is what tips that over.
Yeah. He's definitely beginning to look a lot like the modern day 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah, I can see the comparison there. I don't know once this initial feud between Ambrose and AJ is over what we're going to do with him. That's assuming he is sticking around. I don't know what we're going to do with him. No offense to the guy, I don't really see him doing all too much, like, at the moment, it's almost comical the way that he's in the main event title scene. When no one's really sitting there going, yeah, he's a legitimate contender for AJ Styles' title. Things can change, though. So, pretty much that's Raw and SmackDown. Just a couple other things in the webosphere to do with wrestling that I figure we should at least mention. Over on NXT, they've announced Asuka versus Mickie James for the NXT Toronto takeover.
Okay.
By the sounds of it, it was meant to be Trish Stratus, but she got pregnant, so they replaced her with Mickie James, and that's going to be our NXT Women's title match.
I guess they still don't trust anybody to take the title off of Asuka right now. So I guess we'll get Asuka as the NXT Women's Champion for a little while longer.
Yeah, I don't know after Toronto when the next takeover is going to be. Everybody is pretty much, or at least for this one, was predicting Asuka Ember Moon as the match we'd get. But it appears as though possibly taping, spoilers, I'll wait for people to tune out for a while, that the rest of the women in the division are just going to be having a 6-woman tag match with the Australians and someone else taking on Alea, Liv Morgan, and Ember. So, still a little rocky there. I guess they're giving time to build up these characters rather than just throwing them to Asuka as is, which I'm definitely all for. And Asuka Mickie James shouldn't be that bad of a match either. That should be a perfectly fine, good match.
Wouldn't that be funny if that led to the GFW champion debuting in NXT before he ever gets to actually officially win the championship because the television show's never been shown?
Yeah, GFW is still a very weird beast. At this point, even though New Zealand TV keeps advertising it because we have a contract to air it, I don't think we're ever going to get to see it. Looking over towards the land of TNA, she's a murky one at the moment. Depending on what you believe, there's about 6 different lawsuits against these guys. Everybody wants their money.
I think they broke the piggy bank one too many times.
I think Dixie sold 210% of the company. Is it finally time? Is TNA about to crumble? They are essentially the cockroaches of the wrestling world. You cannot get rid of them. They will come back after everything. But if we finally... Are they done?
Well, let's revisit this January because they've taped everything up for the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's revisit everything towards January.
Okay.
Because honestly, I don't want to say, yes, they're going to survive, no, they're going to die, and have the opposite happen between now and then.
Okay. We'll write it on a note, put it up, boom, put the pin in it. At least for now, though, it appears as though they're going to film an entire episode of TNA on the Hardy complex. And it's going to feature matches, the main one at the end being the Apocalypto match, where the Hardys have invited tag teams pretty much from anywhere to come, including Ring of Honor's Young Bucks and WWE's New Day. So if Jupiter lines up with Saturn perfectly, and it's a leap year, and a miracle happens because somebody wished on a shooting star, what's the odds the New Day show up?
2%.
Okay.
I think it depends on when they tape the episode.
Yeah. I'm still on the 0%. I got no hope, no faith in the fact that the New Day would show up on a
And if
TNA show.
WWE really bought the tape library or not.
True. Alright, well, that's it for the show this week. It's been great talking to you.
Maybe.
Visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio. And I'll see you next week.